Good evening, Jaggy SoCal with 2Old4Forza for the next track guide in TNT Series 41 in the Honda CRX or the Fusion CRX. Again, had really good racing. I thought at Sonoma and Coda last week. Again, again for my own training, it's like the AI can only do so much, but I was kind of liked how close these cars can race together. But for this week, again, we have another night race coming up at Bugatti. But I felt maybe Silverstone was the first one I should probably do because all that Matt has on his spreadsheet is for Silverstone International and weather with a question mark, which means it might be dry, it might be wet. I don't know what he's got planned. So I think for this track guide, I think probably it's just a good idea to do kind of a wet weather kind of guide, things to look out for, run a mock race in the wet weather, and see what we learn. But before I get too far into that, I have the wrong car. I brought the wrong car. That's my race car. I want the school car. Let me go ahead and switch to that. That's much better. Since this is 12 Forza. So anyhow, I'm just going to dive right in. We'll do the test drive. Actually, we'll leave the manual clutch on. So let's go ahead and do the test drive. Just do an out lap, and then we'll do a slow lap around, and I'll kind of talk you around the course here a little bit. Because the back tires are going to be cold for about half the lap. Okay. So yeah, I decided to just kind of shut up for that lap, just kick you around. But that's kind of what a wet lap looks like right now. For the initial weather condition that I've got set, this is moderate rain. So moderate rain, is moderate. But that does mean that you're going to start to see some of the puddles forming on track, which will kind of impact the line you're going to take through here. Things to look out for. So coming down to, and again, I'm going to reference here. I don't know all the names. I only know a few of the names of corners here at Silverstone, but not so much on the international circuit. But first turn here, the first two turns here. The right turn is Abbey, followed by Farm Curve towards Village, which would be the sharp right-hander that make up the first three turns of this circuit. When I'm in the dry, normally I'm trying to get as close and even maybe a little bit on the curve as possible for Abbey here for the right-hander. For me, it's the braking is right about where this extended tarmac begins on the other side of the curb. And again, I try to be as far out as I can. It's maybe a quick little brake and turn in off the gas. The back end will want to slide out a little bit as I go into the corner. But the one of the things I want to point out here in the moderate rain, and it's not as big of an issue in the moderate rain, but you can kind of see where that white curving is just on the racing surface. You can kind of see the beginnings of a puddle there. Let me back up and you can see a little bit clearer. Moderate rain and light rain, that's not going to be a problem at all. You might hear the car splash into it. But you know, if you're unless you're really being aggressive on turn in, the puddles right now shouldn't that puddle shouldn't cause many issues. If the rain gets heavier and the puddles really start to build up uh, along this line here with on the curbing, that will, as you go to turn in, you're going to have less traction on that left side of the car, and it is going to pitch the car sideways a bit more than you expect. So just gauge the rain, depending on what Matt does. If it's a heavy rain, you're probably going to want to be in a little bit more to the right, just to give you still want to be as far over the left as you can, but you want to stay out of those puddles because you happen to hit them right on turn in. So let me get back in first gear. So it's quick brake and turn in. This one I'll be hit or miss with most of the race, but I'm trying to get the car, ideally like in the dry. Yeah, I'm trying to get to the curb, onto the curbing right about where the plates are here. Um, won't always work out. This one is, again, for me, I'm trying to carry as much speed in here as possible. Um, and I might get on the curbing a little bit. I might not. I might be off a little bit. But the ideal line, at least for me, is as I come off the curbing here. I don't want to go all the way over to the left. I do want to kind of bring it about to the middle of the course. And still, I think in fourth gear, I might be up to fifth gear at this point, but and then flat out, uh, there's what, farm curve up to what I'm going to call the hairpin here. Now, when I exit the corner here, I'm not going to bring it all the way out to the right side. I'm going to, at best, maybe a little bit to the left of center, but I really want to try and get the car back over to the left side here for the next braking. Aside from, as you're practicing and you're gauging where you're going to brake, if you're using the braking line, start making note of things off to the side. And unfortunately, there's no braking boards for this corner, and there's not really a lot of things to go off of. For this corner, if I'm having to look at the left side, I'm kind of gauging it off of, I think and here's how short my memory is. I can't remember exactly where I'm braking here. It is definitely past where the curbing here begins on the left side, and just kind of gauge where that'll be. So if you're in traffic again, you know how close these cars can race together and how the car ahead can really block, what's right in front of you, especially if you're relying on that braking line. So the sooner you can kind of correlate things off to the left or the right, that kind of help you say, yeah, this is where I brake at, and understand this is where I brake at when I'm on my own. When I'm in traffic, I need to brake a little before that so I don't run into the guy in front of me. The sooner you can find some of that, that'll make racing in traffic a little less scary because you'll have extra reference points to go off of. So try and gauge it. Try and spot the beginning of the curbing here on the left side. Kind of correlate that with just how the colors change on the arm co-off on the left, where that goes out of view. Anything that's going to help you kind of gauge where braking is if I can't see straight in front of me, that will help there. So enough talking about that. So again, it's brake, 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 brake. This to me, this the other thing I was trying to figure out with this car is gearing. I think there's always going to be a lot of choices between second or third gear, depending on the corner and how quickly you carry speed into it. What I'm finding with this car is, and this might change as the series goes on, but I find that if you're in depending on, let's say you take this corner in third, and the revs start getting right about 5,000 or a little below, probably too high of a gear. Drop it down one. I find that once you're kind of in that 5,000, especially if you're, maybe 5,500 to 6, that you could probably leave it in third. If when you get back to full throttle, that's about where the revs start to build up at. So here, though, this one's sharp enough. Again, I can take it in third. Maybe I have to kind of extend the exit a little bit. I like it better in second. Just gives me a little more little more control on the car on turn in. So it'll be down to second gear, cut this corner, you know, get on that curbing a little bit if you want. And again, I'm going to bring it about to half track. If I was in third, you can go out a little bit further. You can go a little bit out past mid-track on the left side there and still make this next kink at full throttle. It will just put you out a little bit far to the right on exit. You have to bring it back further left for Beckett's the turn back onto the hangar straight. So the kink here, again, full throttle, second gear, third gear, maybe fourth. I forget if I got up to fourth or not. Again, maybe bring it out to half track. Now in the wet, this is the hardest turn for me to get right. It takes me a long time. On the track map, you look at it, it's like, oh, it's just a regular 90-degree turn. There's just something about, and I don't know if visual perception wise, it's just maybe the nature of the corner or the nature that the exit, you've got the Armco on the wall right there. So maybe I don't know. So what I think is working for me right now is, and the other thing too is, aside from the braking line, you have no help as far as additional references. You can kind of use the gravel trap or the extra tarmac there on the left side. What I'm actually trying to also spot, and again, very hard to spot, especially when you're following people, is, I'm actually going to bring the car over a little bit. So if I bring the car over the left side, you see this big patch? You've kind of got, let me get up a little further. Okay. All right, so you see in front of the car, you see a little bit of water, you see that nice big dark splotch there of just that discoloration on the pavement. That's my main additional braking reference for Beckett's to make this right-hander as far as where I'm braking at, prep for the turn in. As I get there, as I'm reaching it, that's where I'm going to get on the brakes. If I'm in third, I'm going to leave it in third. I can kind of correlate it if I have to look off to the left. And again, I'm kind of looking at the coloration of the tire barriers. It's right about where that red barrier starts there on the left. If you can't see straight in front of you, but this is the splotch, and it's easier, I think, to see in the rain. We'll have to see what it looks like when it dries out, if it dries out. This is where I'm braking. So if I'm in third gear, this is another one of those. You can do it in third if you got clear traffic and you carry good speed in. You could do this in third. If you're in traffic, second might be a little bit safer, it's the more conservative gear. Again, this is another one of those as the car on its heels or on its toes. Second gear, you're going to get more, dare I say, here I'm going to use a fencing term. You're going to get more point control as far as where you point the car, and on turn it's going to be a little more direct, a little more responsive. If you leave it in third, the car's, it's going to be a little more relaxed. So it's going to carry more speed through, but it's going to push a little bit on exit. So as you kind of get up to speed, make that decision. On my own, I like third. It's just on the brake. You can kind of follow the dark splotch into the corner. Third gear off the gas. As I get to the apex, I'll start rolling back in. Let the car roll out. Don't hit the cones. Don't get off. Don't hit the wall. And keep it on the track. Now we're on to the hangar straight. The hangar straight has a couple of treacherous spots in the rain. First one is coming up right here on the left. You can kind of see that puddle forming. So when you're coming up the hangar straight, give yourself some wiggle room. Give yourself some room on the left side. That puddle in moderate rain is enough. If you hit it, it will pull the car a little bit to the left. Might catch you by surprise if you're not paying attention. At least for me on the controller, when I've hit it, I'll feel the car pull to the left a little bit. I can easily correct and keep it on track. That puddle will probably get worse if it gets heavier rain. So again, leave yourself some room here. The other thing, heading up the hangar straight where this pedestrian bridge is, there is kind of a puddle that kind of runs across the track. That's the next one you're going to run through, and you're going to feel it. If you're on towards the left side, there's a little bit more. You've got kind of a double puddle. If you're a little more in the middle, you'll just hit the single. Again, you're hitting it straight. Shouldn't really mess the car up at all, but just know that's another puddle that's, you might feel it in the wheel or feel it in the controller as you hit it. Racing up to, getting up to the to Stowe is next. There's the last treacherous puddle on the hangar straight. Now, right now, moderate rain. It's just a little bit of a strip. I've seen this puddle in the game when it's heavier rain. You'll see that puddle get really, really big. Again, if you're on the left side and you hit it, it's going to pull the car to the left. You should just be able to. You should be able to stay in it. You just may have to make a little adjustments. But again, if you can avoid it and not have to worry about, catching the car or being ready for it, just keep it to the right of it. As soon as you're past that one, you can bring the car back over to the left. And my braking, you will be able to brake for this corner. Now, I'm running the 200 brake pressure tune. So I don't know if you guys are running 140 on the wheels. You can brake quite late for Stowe. In fact, I'm usually braking right about where this curbing starts. And this is another one, you've got a choice. You've got a choice of fourth or third, depending on how well you get your braking done and how much speed you're carrying in. So up to you. I don't think there's a right or wrong way, gearing for it. Again, it'll be a late apex, roll back into the throttle, let your momentum carry you out. You can get on this exit curbing a little bit, not a problem. Start bringing the car back over to the right. Now in the dry, for this next left-hander heading into the final turn before the front stretch, normally in the dry we're all the way over on the left side for this, and prepping up, and we're going to be braking. The braking is again, I just wish they had braking boards on some of these shorter circuits. Braking is again used. I've been using the curbing as a reference. Know that as you start to get into the curbing, you're going to get on the brakes. Problem here in the rain is you can see the puddle straight ahead, right on there on the edge of the course. Just past that, there's another one. You're going to be hard on the braking and threshold braking. You're going to hit both of these puddles. This one here, and there's usually another one right past it. So the braking line doesn't factor in the rain. So that braking line is assuming it's dry, it's safe. So if you brake where you normally brake and you hit those puddles, you're gonna go a little bit further before you can really then release the brakes and turn in. So I'd say for this kind of like coming down the hangar straight, you're gonna take, dare I say, a slightly defensive line and just be a little bit to the right of those puddles. Not to the right, to the left. Be a little bit to the left of those puddles as you get to the brakes, and that way tires will hold grip. You won't hydroplane. You'll be able to get the car under control. Down to second gear, release the brake, turn in. I'm always, I don't know if I've ever gotten this figured out. I know what my intention is. I just never seem to be able to follow through on it. I'm usually late for this part of this corner. You can use quite a bit of this inside curbing before it gets to you can kind of see where got the kind of the sausage curb on the back end of the curb, but you can use a lot of the painted surface here. For me, this is second gear. Bring it back across. I'm going to lift a little bit through here. Start to roll back into the throttle. And what I'm trying to do is by the time I get to here, I'm going to upshift to third. And if I do it right, I should be able to get on full throttle and be on full throttle all the way through the last corner. The one thing I would caution, and again, front wheel drive car, especially if you roll back into the throttle too early, or you've got the car kind of set, perpendicular to the next corner, or at least parallel with the outside line. The front wheel drive, the car is going to just understeer out and cross over the curbing. You can get your left sides on that curbing a little bit, but if you go too far and your left side tires cross over the back of it, all of a sudden you're just going to get sucked, offline. You're going to get pulled off to the left side of the track. You're going to have to kind of fight to get the car back on track, and you're also going to be risking a time penalty. So just again, really here, neat and tidy, stay off the curbing on the exit if you can. Once you get it kind of straight here, you'll upshift it to third, and you'll arc the car in, and you can use quite a bit of this curbing here as well on the exit. Let the car drift out, and there you're back on the front stretch. And that's a lap of Silverstone International. Again, this is all, this car is all about momentum and, trying to maximize the speed you're carrying through the corners without, compromising your line and go fast. But with that, excuse me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. With that, I want to go ahead and jump into a mock race, and let's kind of talk about rain. Finish that test drive. Do we want to? Yes. We want to. So, I'm going out on a limb. We're back to the roughly 35-minute races. The two short 35-minute races, and I'm guesstimating 25 laps, 24 to 25 laps, depending on what lap time Matt ultimately calculates off of. The other thing that gets kind of thrown into it is, rain does make a huge difference in the lap times that we're going to be setting. So that 25 laps is mainly based off of wet weather time. Who knows? I mean, if he doesn't do weather, it might be a few more laps because we're going to gain a couple seconds a lap. But I would rather demo a rain race than do a dry one and everyone gets caught off guard. So with that, same classes of cars I'm racing against. I have adjusted since this track, and I think also Bugatti is a little more of a power track as far as straightaways. That last group of cars that I'm racing against, what division are they again? Yeah, Sport Touring Icon. Since they've got a little more straight line, I'm going to back them up an extra 10 seconds, and then I'll still start at 60. But again, I'm going to simulate the race, so there'll be a quick stop. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm talking too much. Now while we're waiting for me to get going, for those of you that don't know all the things that go into setting up a rain race in the multiplayer lobby, your weather options for rain divides the race into 3 segments. So you have what's the starting weather condition, which I'm starting with moderate rain. Then about a third of the way through the race, then whatever you can say, hey, about a third of the way through the race, what's the next possible rain or next possible weather condition will be, and then a percentage chance of that happening. So, I could say moderate rain, and then it's like, hey, by the next segment of the weather, it could be a light rain or 50% chance of light rain. There's a 50-50 chance it'll either stay the same or change. And then when you get to the last third of the race, then you have the same thing. You can set a third weather condition and then a chance of that happening. So really, I'm not sure. I think Matt kind of decides that on a whim. I don't know how much thought he puts into it, or how he comes up with what he wants to do. But that's just how the rain race will typically work. So for us as drivers, it's really just keeping track of your lap count. When the leader gets to, if it's a 24-25 lap race, when the leader gets to about lap 8 or starts lap 8, you're going to notice the weather start to change. So just kind of pay attention. Is the rain getting heavier? Is it letting up? Is it starting to thunder and lightning? Because that's going to then tell you over the next couple of laps, as I screw that corner up, what to expect as far as puddles. And do I need to adjust my line now because, hey, the line I normally take, now it's got bigger puddles in it. I need to move a little bit to the side to avoid them. So that's just kind of file that in the back of your head. And we really won't know. We really won't know until the race starts. You know, it could be. And the funny thing is, it could be a rain race, and it never rains the entire race. So, and I spend so much time telling you guys about avoid those puddles, and I just go ahead and run right into it. All right, I'm going to pause here for a second. I love my cats, but sometimes it's kind of like, you know, for those of you with kids, when you get on the telephone and the kids know you're on the phone, and they figured, oh, Dad's preoccupied. We can get into mischief. So I'm going to pause it here when I get on the hanger straight for a quick second and mute the mic. I need to escort a kitten out of the room. Be right back. Sorry about that. I should know better than to leave the den door open. So where was I? Oh, we're racing. Here, let's do it in fourth this time. So yeah, I mean, fourth here, and that's weird. I mean, if you get it absolutely right, I think you can carry the momentum down. I think for me, I might still do that one in third. And the sooner you can commit to full throttle there, you know, again, it's racing 101. The sooner I can commit to full throttle in that final corner, the more speed I carry down the straight. Brake, turn in, again, it rotates around. More speed will carry down through here, and if I've got a good handle on the car, might be able to take a look at people as far as passing here. Cut that turn a little bit, try to ink that cone. Right a little bit. I think next lap I'll put it all the way to the right so you can an idea of what happened with those puddles. Always late for that. With the throttle. Up. Click on the brakes, turn in, back in the car, rotate a little bit, roll back into the throttle. There's a lot of curving there too. Let's just keep it to the left side here and you'll seem to be not too bad what the other one does. Moderate rain, not too bad. Again, for me on the controller, since I don't quite have the steering position, you'll notice that as I get to the apex, I'll just ease off the throttle a little bit. That's just to give the fronts a little more bite. And the car will just turn in a little bit more. So I don't know, again, it's been ages since I've used the wheel, so I don't know if that same trick works on a wheel. Kind of when you turn in, if you just let off the gas, that it'll help the car turn a little bit more without having to dial more steering in. Got company behind me. You can wind it out and forth if you want, but it's just long enough where I like putting up the fifth. The other thing I found out, just kind of, in the other race I did, or I did a kind of a test race with the AI, that last turn, I think it's possible you can go side by side through there. Oh, got a little too wide there, but see, we can still make that corner decently and recover enough that we can get at least have a somewhat normal turn onto the hanger straight. I was going to take a look. Okay, almost time for the weather to start to change. I know what I set on just to make sure that I can kind of show what possibly what we might get in the race. There's a 100% chance that the weather is going to change here in the next lap or so. That was a little early. Again, I can't talk and drive at the same time. Oh, yep, nice run. But can you hold the inside? And front wheel drive. Back end starts to step out. Just give it the gas. Front wheels pull it out of this. here again. We're gonna do this again. This thing's spray isn't too bad. What I had done is, it looks like it's picked up a little bit. It's not as dramatic. The previous race I had the middle set to thunderstorms. But this one, I did say 100% chance of heavy rain. And what I want to look for is to see if how big the puddles get. That would have been a time penalty. Probably a pretty hefty one at that. Okay, the lights just turned on. That's not a good sign. I just noticed they got brighter. Yep, that puddle's gotten bigger. Yeah, I completely, again, hitting those hydroplane through the puddles and completely blew the braking. Trying to push wide there too. So yeah, the rain has definitely picked up. If you look just ahead of the Mini, see how big the puddles here on the edge of the track here turn in. So yeah, so again, if the rain really picks up, start giving yourself a little bit of room on the edges of the track. Breaks a little bit early, so you'll see I got the Mini in front of me, so you're not going to see it till the last segment. There. That puddle's gotten a lot more treacherous. It'll be the same one for the other one up here. Big puddle under the bridge. Me overcorrecting. Okay, so last lap I took what would be a dry line under braking. I'm gonna keep it to the right here a little bit, or left a little bit. And much better. He's going to check brake here. Of course he does. So I'm going to pit at the end of lap 13. It's about the halfway point, and it's well within that 15 to 25 minute pit window that we will be using for these races. Cleo got a little wide there. When we get all the way to the left here, you can still go flat out through there. You just got to adjust a little bit more before braking for the hairpin here. Kink. And again, I went down to second just because I was a little bit further to the inside for that little bit sharper of a turn. I think Cleo's gonna try it. Alright, now thankfully pit in for Silverstone's pretty easy. Make sure there's nobody to your right. It's actually pretty good as well. Again, you know, the flow of traffic, they're going to be taking the corner on the left side. So as you get released, keep it to the right. And if there's no traffic, bring it back into the racing line. And you're good to go. You noticed, actually that stopped a little bit earlier than I thought it would, but now we are into the kind of that final stage of the weather. I actually have it set to just be cloudy. So what we're going to get here is over the next 3 or 4 laps, we're going to get a drying track. So a couple of things I would point out is things that I kind of pay attention to or try to pay attention to. Obviously the first thing is how big are the puddles? Are they starting to shrink? As I get into them right there and totally mess up my braking. Other things I look for, especially if you're in traffic, how much spray is coming off the cars in front of you. You can even do a quick look back and see how much spray is coming off your car. The last thing that you'll know what the track conditions are is listen to your tires. When the track dries out enough, your tires are going to make the squealing sound, you know, that you would normally expect to hear when it's totally dry. And we just get a little bit of a sliding sound. We don't really get a squeal or anything like that from it. But hopefully, again, with 10 laps left, we should have pretty dry track by the end of the race. see what my... The other thing too is you'll start noticing your lap times. My quickest was a 1:24.2 in the wet. I think if it fully dries out, we should be well in the 23s. See how fast we can go. That's going to be tough because we've got traffic. Something else to think about too is if you're trying to go for fastest lap bonus and the race starts dry, yeah, it might be worth those couple of seconds to back off a little bit and get clean fast lap in, just in case it starts to rain. Hold that inside line, all right. Ooh, that's a little Pruitt fade there under braking. Whole bunch of good activity going on. Just one coming out. Yep. Stay out there. Don't stay over there. So yeah, so Beckett's there, and then the hairpin before that. You know, I would expect there are going to be places where passing attempts are going to be made, and maybe a little rubbing. Hopefully, no fender locking. Doing a lot. They start down. No, still, well, I'm mired in traffic, so it's harder to really. I knew he was over there somewhere. Yeah, if you notice that kink, if you're all the way to the left heading to that kink, if you got somebody on to your right, you can make that corner. You're just going to really have to back off the gas. You can make the corner and not, squeeze the person off track. That was lucky. The inside move there looks like I'll leave a lot of room there. You'll see that black splotch. Even there, might be able to do a kind of a diamond that corner and beat the guy to the apex. Still some puddles out there. Laps to go. Track is drying. I don't think, kind of looking at the map, I don't think I'm going to catch the gold yet. Got too much of a power advantage. Hey, spray's gone. Not hearing the tires squeak, so not back to fully dry yet. There we go. You heard the back tires squeal a little bit there, so good sign that the track is just about dry. Still some puddles here or there. Hear the tires? Tires are starting to squeal. That means the track is drying. Got a bit more grip to work with. And yeah, lap time just tumbled there. Half a second quicker, fighting in traffic. That splotch that I was pointing out in the rain is much tougher to see in the dry. Still some puddles. Might be able to use the normal braking line end of the race. 3-4. Really see the drawing line there, contrast. By a second. Bit more aggressive model. Yeah, you can see like through those corners how much earlier I'm getting to full throttle and still being able to steer the car through the corner. Couldn't do that when it was wet. Had to get it straight first before really committing. But for a couple puddles here and there. Racetrack is dry. A little early on the turn in, almost dirtied the lap. Again, on the turn there, I'm just maybe a touch of brake. I'm not fully back on the throttle, just crack the throttle a little bit. Then once I'm at the apex, then I know I can get right back to full throttle there for that first turn. Tones. A little bit late for that, but still kind of recovered it. So that is Silverstone International and the Honda Hugin CRX, and just kind of, I guess, best examples of what we might have as far as weather. That's assuming Matt decides to do weather. Just be kind of conscious of your throttle inputs and turn in. Be as smooth as you can. I would recommend practicing rivals, going to rivals and run the rain circuit there. I think rivals I think they use light rain. I don't think it's moderate, but it doesn't change. If you kind of want to do something like this, you can always go into free play, set up a mock race, set the number of laps, and then when you do the rain option, if you go into the advanced, you'll scroll down the page. You'll see the places where you can kind of pick what kind of elements that you want to face and the percentage that it would happen. I I figured this was probably a good way to kind of show, kind of wet to really wet and then back to dry. And if Matt decides not to do weather, then, as far as that 121.7, there might still be a few more tents out there because I think, and maybe it's only with the race tires, but I think Forza, when you go into wet weather, and maybe with the race tire compound, they automatically just put you on wet tires, whereas we're not on race tires with this car. So I don't know how that works out. But anyhow, Silverstone International in the rain. So practice, and I'm going to take a short break and probably pop back on and do the Bugatti night, our second night race of the season. And with that, hope you guys have a good evening and happy racing.